My name's Alex Buono, and I started out, like a lot of guys, in film school. I went to USC Film School. I studied cinematography and still photography. And then when I got out of school, my first job was on the set of Twister. It was literally, I graduated from college. The next day I drove to Oklahoma, started out as a camera intern working for free, and cleaned cases and humped equipment around the cornfields of Oklahoma for about 5 months, and that led immediately into sort of a few years of working as a camera assistant on the crew of you know, that was the era of the disaster film, and so we did Con Air, and we did Conspiracy Theory and Armageddon. All the while I was on the weekends shooting independent films, you know, short films for friends from film school, and some low-budget commercials, and then ultimately some music videos, and kind of finally gradually worked my way into where I was shooting independent features. And I was able to finally sort of retire from being a camera assistant relatively early. I was into it for 2 or 3 years, and became a full-time cinematographer. When I look at the work of Richard Avedon or Robert Frank, I am challenged to try to compose my shots and think about the scene and the way that will tell the whole story visually. Most of the time you've got dialogue that's supporting you, you've got the rest of the movie that's supporting that scene, but the challenge is for every scene to support the story, for every moment of every scene to support the story. And so I look to those guys for inspiration, and because they could do it, and they could do it consistently, it raises the bar, and it challenges me to try to aspire to that. I started shooting the film unit at Saturday Night Live in 1999. And when I started there, we were still shooting it on films. We shot on 35mm film, we shot on 16mm film. And you can imagine, for a show that writes the scripts Tuesday and Wednesday, pick the scripts on Wednesday night, and we shoot them on Friday for air on Saturday night, you can imagine that shooting on film presents a pretty big challenge. My job is to be a partner with the director, a partner with the producer, to see the vision of the film, to not get totally lost in the details. So the director of the title sequence this season is the longtime portrait photographer of the show, Mary Ellen Matthews. And she shoots with a Canon 5D, and she had shown me some video that she had shot, sort of trying to get her concept together for the title sequence. And I was really amazed at how great the video looked that she had just shot with her still camera. I didn't know that these cameras were capable of this. The more she talked about and developed her concept for this season's sequence, which was going to be night portraits of the cast members throughout the city of New York. Normally when we shoot the title sequence, you have all the cast members are gathered together at a bar, or they're all together at a party somewhere, and we shoot it all in the span of either one long night or maybe 2 split days or 2 split nights. What she wanted to do was going to be each member in a different part of the city. We knew immediately, well, this isn't going to happen over the course of 2 days. We're suddenly looking at, like, you know, 13 cast members. This is going to be at least a week, maybe 2 weeks of shooting. I'm going to be running all over the city at night, all night exteriors. I don't have a crew and a lighting package that's going to be able to accommodate a traditional camera shoot. We're going to have to come up with something else. Then, looking back at what she'd already shot with the 5D, we started sort of investigating, geez, can we just use these still cameras for this whole title sequence, and will NBC ever play ball with that? Does that seem totally insane? And we looked at some of the work that some of the other guys had already shot with this camera online. We looked at Vincent LaForay's short films, which looked amazing, and he was shooting all available light at night. And I was able to show that to the guys at SNL, and everyone kind of agreed, yeah, that looks great, and let's go for it. We shot the first night of the title sequence with the 5D and the 7D. We got it back into the office and downloaded the footage and looked at it, and we had really sort of ran the gamut of ASAs, testing everything from, you know, 6400 ASA, which was sort of the top of the line for the 5D, and we then also shot it down at what I was much more comfortable with, coming from the sort of non-DSLR world, at you know, a 400 ASA. And what we found was that with the 5D having a, you know, full-size image sensor, we were very comfortable cranking that up to 2000 ASA. One of our sequences, Kenan Thompson wanted to do his portrait on the Brooklyn Bridge. And lighting the Brooklyn Bridge, lighting him on the Brooklyn Bridge in the middle. I mean, it would have been such an enormous amount of production for us to pull that off any other way. I walked out there with a 7D and a 5D. I cranked up the ASA to 1600. I was using a 50 millimeter L series. I was at a 1.4. I was shooting natural light with just the mercury vapor street lamps that were along the Brooklyn Bridge. I could see the skyline separated from the background. I could see detail in the clouds at night. I had a really gorgeous, sheen to Keenan's face because of the street lights. And it was beautiful, and it was better than what I could have done if I tried to light it. And here we are on the Brooklyn Bridge. We didn't close the bridge down. I've got hundreds of people passing by us on bikes and walking, and it looks like I'm maybe doing a still photo shoot. Maybe I'm just a tourist. The fact that it's so small, the fact that you can jump into the back seat of a taxi cab and get a totally usable, solid, natural light scene. The fact that you can, I was taking this camera and a low-tech suction clamp and throwing it on top of a car and doing driving shots that were rock solid that took me 5 minutes to rig. And the bottom line is that if it allows you to get more shots, or if it allows you to start to set up and start shooting sooner to give your actors more time with the scene, give your director more time with the scene, that's going to help the project.